Well, good morning, students. I am Dr. Deepu Das, Assistant Professor, Department of Obs and Gynae, Jalabadar Baba Medical College. Welcome to all you in this class, online class. I hope all you are sound and safe because it is a we are in a critical condition due to COVID-19 infection. For this reason, we take the online class. I hope you all are attend the class. So today topics to discuss about the ectopic pregnancy. Before going to main lecture, ectopic pregnancy, we should know the about what is normal pregnancy, where implantation occur, and how ectopic pregnancy occur. In normal pregnancy implantation, pregnancy is the period during which a woman carries a developing fetus normally in the uterus, starting from the conception, that is fertilization ova, until the baby born. After ovulation, the ovum is picked up by the fimbria of fallopian tube and then swept up by ciliary action towards the ampulla where fertilization occurs. We know that the fertilization occur in the ampullary region of the fallopian tube and implantation occurs in the uterus. It is a normal physiological process. So as soon as the zygote develops, it begins dividing very rapidly and it remains in the fallopian tube for 3 to 4 days until reaches morula stage. The embryo proceeds through the isthmus to the uterine cavity for up to 72 hours. By the day 6, it enters the uterus and begins to penetrate the decidua. This is called the implantation, which takes place within the uterine cavity in normal position pregnancy. The HCG is produced by the trophoblast, which can be detected in the serum of the mother in the first week after implantation. Its level double every 36 to 48 hours in a normal healthy pregnancy, starting from 5 to 50, if 100, till reaching the 1000 international unit per liter. Any delay or obstruction of the passage of fertilized egg down the fallopian tube to the uterus may result in ectopic pregnancy. So, implantation of the fallopian tube or ovary or peritoneal cavity, this known as ectopic pregnancy, which eventually most fail to develop and the HCG fail to raise dramatically as happens in the normal intrauterine pregnancy. We know that the in normal intrauterine pregnancy, beta HCG level is a doubling time is 48 to 36 hours. In case of ectopic pregnancy, because of the beta tropoplastic activity slows down. That's why beta ECG level is slowed down. It is not doubling within 36 to 48 hours. Uh, Beta ECG is very important in case of ectopic pregnancy because we know the diagnosis of the ectopic pregnancy is very it takes important role. That's why we goes to in details how why beta ECG is in normal pregnancy it is raised doubling in 36 to 48 hours, but in case of ectopic pregnancy it is not doubling. It is a site of the normal pregnancy implantation. See the students, there is a uh, ovulation, ovary, and then ovulation occurred. After that, ovum is picked up by the ciliary actions of the fallopian tube. After that, it goes to the that is sweeping movement of the fallopian tube. It goes up to the day 1, day 2, 2 cell stage, and 3 to 4. That is on that stage. After that itself stage morula, and then after blastocyst forms, then after that it is implantation. So it is a normal pregnancy implantation. If there is any difficulty in this process or in the pathway of this zygote, and implantation occurs in that tube, so it is ectopic pregnancy. What is ectopic pregnancy? You see the diagram, that is in previous picture you see the that is the normal way of the normal pregnancy implantation. It looks, then after that it implantations occur in the, we know that the uterus either anterior or posterior is any wall of the uterus, it can implant it. But in case of, you see the ectopic pregnancy, this figure, there is implantation, fertilization and implantation occurs in the ampullary region of the fallopian tube. So this is the ectopic pregnancy. What is ectopic pregnancy? An ectopic pregnancy or ecdysis, it is a complications of pregnancy occur when the site of implantation is outside of the womb, that is without the uterine cavity. It occurs either in the tube or ovary or abdominal cavity. With rare exception, ectopic pregnancy are not viable, and pregnancy can even occur in both the womb and the tube at the same time. That is, at the same time, pregnancy may occur in the womb and also in the tube. It is also known as the heterotropic pregnancy. Classifications of ectopic pregnancy. Classification, that is tubal pregnancy. 1. The vast majority of ectopic pregnancy, that is 95 to 98% of the implant, most in the fallopian tube. Among these, 55% in the ampulla, 25% in the isthmus, 17% in the fimbria, 3% in interstitial, and 2% in rudimentary horn of a bicoronate uterus. Non-tubal ectopic pregnancy and heterotropic pregnancy. So classification, that is 3 types. That is non-tubal ectopic pregnancy are rare site. It is 2 to 5% only. That sites are ovaries, broad ligaments, abdominal cavity, and the peritoneum and cervix. What is heterotropic pregnancy? It is rare case of the ectopic pregnancy, that is 1 in 1,000. There may be 2 fertilized egg, one outside the uterus and the other inside the fallopian tube. This is called the heterotropic pregnancy. The pregnancy more common likely due to increased use of the IVF. So heterotropic pregnancy is we know that in case of twin pregnancy, when one is developed within the uterus and one is developed in the fallopian tube, that is known as heterotropic pregnancy. Common site of ectopic pregnancy. Ectopic pregnancy common site we see that is uterus. It is a normal implantation of the ectopic pregnancy. If there, implantation of normal pregnancy. An ectopic pregnancy, when pregnancy occurred, this outside the uterus. You see the students, please see if you see the lecture, then you say that is the we told that 95 to 98% occurs in the fallopian tube. So you see the what are the portions on the fallopian tube, that is infundibular region, fallopian tube. That was isthmic region, that is tubal ostium. It is ampullary region. Most common occurs in the ampullary, that is 55%. Isthmic, that is 25%. And other options, you see the ovary. Pregnancy may be occur in the ovary, even secondary abdominal pregnancy, even cesarean scar, even cervix. So this is the figure of the common site for ectopic pregnancy. Epidemiology. Incidence. We know that 22 per 1,000 live births, and that is 16 per 100,000 pregnancy. In USA, from 1970 to 1992, the risk of 5 times increase the 5 to 19, 4 to 19 per 1,000 pregnancy. And fertility rate from ectopic pregnancy dropped almost 90%. From there is previously it was 35.5 per 1,000 ectopic to now it is 3.8 per 1,000 ectopics. Why fertility rate is decreasing? Because it is early diagnosis, and we take the early diagnosis of the ectopic pregnancy. So we take the measure for the death or fertility rate from the ectopic pregnancy. That's why it is decreasing nowadays for the fertility rate. But diagnosis rates of ectopic pregnancy and increase the rate of ectopic pregnancy is more is increasing than the previously due to some condition like pelvic adhesion, pelvic infection. Nowadays, pelvic infection and STD is raising. That's why ectopic pregnancy is raising nowadays. What are the risk factors? We know that, and previously I discussed how the ectopic pregnancy occurred. We know any mechanism that interferes with the normal functions of fallopian tube increase the risk of ectopic pregnancy. The mechanism can be anatomical and functional. That is, anatomical is scarring that blocks the transport of the egg, and functional impair the tubal motility. That's are the risk factors for the ectopic pregnancy. Like that is, we divided into three groups. That is high risk group, moderate risk group, and slight risk group. High risk groups, that is PID, pelvic inflammatory disease, and tubal corrective surgery, previous ectopic pregnancy, in utero days exposure, that is it is a drugs and intrauterine contraceptive device, documented tubal pathology. These are the high risk, and moderate risk are infertility, previous genital infection, and multiple partners. Slight risk, that is previous pelvic or abdominal surgery, smoking, douching, and intercourse before 18 weeks. Now, history of pelvic infection. We know the PID is the most common risk factor for the ectopic pregnancy and eightfold increase the risk due to destruction of the fallopian tube. Chlamydia and gonorrhea are both able to grow within the fallopian tube, and they causes the tremendous damage to the endosalpinx and one and agglutination of the mucosal fold in the tube. That's why implanted zygote cannot transport into the fallopian tube. Fertilized zygote cannot transport the embryo to the for the implantation into the uterus. That's why it is ectopic pregnancy occur. And peritubal adhesion. And history of surgery on the fallopian tube or within the pelvis. Tubal ligation in the first 2 years, when a bilateral tubal ligation is followed by either an unexpected pregnancy or in reverse with a tubal rheostomosis, there is an increase the risk of tubal ectopic pregnancy. Any tubal surgery, there is a risk of the development of the ectopic pregnancy. History of any pelvic surgery associated with a significant adhesion formation, there is also increase the risk of ectopic pregnancy. Prior history of ectopic pregnancy. We know the PID or any pelvic pathology, it is a bilateral disease. Chlamydia, gonorrhea, they cause the bilateral disease. So, if when ectopic pregnancy in the fallopian tube is treated conservatively, there is a roughly tenfold increase the risk of recurrence of the same tube, and also there is a because of the pelvic pathology is a bilateral. So, if one side of ectopic pregnancy is occurred, there is a risk to the uh, ectopic pregnancy in the opposite tube afterwards. History of intrauterine device use. We know the intrauterine contraceptive device. It is a contraceptive method to prevent the pregnancy, but it prevent the pregnancy intrauterine, but not the extrauterine. That's why there is a risk of the development of the ectopic pregnancy. We know that is the actually all the progesterone containing intrauterine device is a risk factor for the ectopic pregnancy because progesterone delay the transport of the zygote towards the uterus. That's why it causes the ectopic pregnancy. But in case of copper containing IUCD, there is a decrease the risk of the ectopic pregnancy because copper is copper has a phagocytic property. So, copper causes the phagocytosis of the zygote, ovum, and sperm. That's why it prevents the ectopic pregnancy. But in case of progesterone containing IUD, there is a risk of the development of the ectopic pregnancy. I already these are said that why there is ectopic pregnancy occur and why which are the decrease. History of diethylstilbestrol exposure in the utero. Nowadays, it is obsolete because we are not using diethylstilbestrol in the treatment, any case of treatment of the days. But previously, it is used as a in the different medical conditions of the woman. In that case, when accidental pregnancy occurs, there is a risk of the development of the uh, ectopic pregnancy. History of obstruction of the fallopian cavity or lining. If any obstruction in the uterine cavity or lining, that is history of uterine synechia from the previous surgery like endometrial ablation or dysfunctional uterine bleeding or presence of multiple submucosal fibroid tumor, this causes a larger percentage of the pregnancy to implant in a space other than the uterine cavity. History of non-infectious pelvic inflammation, that is endometriosis or foreign body. In case of endometriosis, inflammation of the delicate tubal structure can result in adhesion formation, that is scar tissue formations. which will then increase the risk of an ectopic pregnancy. This inflammation may be due to endometriosis or the presence of a foreign body, either of which are strongly associated with the scar tissue formation, which leads to the ectopic pregnancy. And use of assisted reproductive technologies such as IVF, in vitro fertilizations, and gift gamete intrafallopian transfer. When multiple embryo or gametes are placed into the uterus or fallopian tube, there is a risk of multiple pregnancy rises significantly. Risk of twin and heterotopic pregnancy generally thought to be 1 per 30,000 pregnancy. With ART, the rate of ectopic and dizygotic twins have increased to 1 per 10,000. The incidence of heterotopic pregnancy may increase to frequently as 1 per 100 pregnancy. So heterotopic pregnancy is occur in case of the most commonly due to ART procedures. See the figure of the tubal pregnancy. That is, it is a viable tubal pregnancy. On the ectopic pregnancy, there is embryo and it is a sac. It is ampullar region of the fallopian tube. Ampullar region is a common site of the ectopic pregnancy because of there is a greater distensible property. That's why implantation occurs easily. Pathophysiology of the tubal pregnancy. The trophoblast develops in the fertilized ovum and invade deeply into the tubal wall. One. Second one, following implantation, the trophoblast produce HCG which maintain the corpus luteum. HCG is very important to maintain the corpus luteum. And the corpus luteum produce estrogen and progesterone which change the secondary endometrium into the deciduum. The uterus enlarges 8 weeks and becomes soft. And uterus, this is the pathophysiology of the ectopic pregnancy, which causes the enlarged uterus, and ultimately there is a risk of the bleeding, which confused patient comes with us for vaginal bleeding. We are confused that it is ectopic pregnancy or other. The tubal pregnancy does not usually proceed beyond 8 to 10 weeks due to lack of decidual reaction to the tube, thin wall of the tube, the inadequacy of tubal lumen, and bleeding in the site of implantation as trophoblast invades. That's why tubal pregnancy, tubal rupture occur 8 to 12 weeks of the implantation. Separation of the gestational sac from the tubal wall leads to its degeneration and fall of HCG level and regression of the corpus luteum and subsequent drop in the estrogen progesterone level. This leads to the separation of the uterine residue with uterine bleeding. Sometimes patient comes on us with only irregular pervaginal bleeding on the mid-cycle, which is the diagnosis of the ectopic. Fate of tubal pregnancy. Tubal pregnancy fate, one is tubal mole, one is tubal abortion, and one is tubal rupture. We fate and tubal mole. What is tubal mole? That is the gestational sac is surrounded by a blood clot and written in the tube. This may remain for long period in the tube and form so-called chronic ectopic pregnancy or may be gradually absorbed. Chronic ectopic pregnancy it comes with chronic ectopic or may be absorbed. Tubal abortion. These occur more if ovum had been implanted in the modular portion of the tube. There is separation of the gestational sac is followed by expulsion into the peritoneal cavity through the tubal ostium. Rarely, reimplantation occur of the conceptus in another abdominal structure leads to the secondary abdominal pregnancy. Tubal rupture. More common implantation occurs in the narrower portion of the tube which is isthmus, and rupture may occur in the anti-mesenteric border of the tube. This is the fallopian tube. This is mesenteric border. This is anti-mesenteric border. When this is anti-mesenteric border occur, this is anti-mesenteric border, and this is mesenteric border. This is mesenteric. Usually, profuse bleeding occurs and interperitoneal hemorrhage occurs. If rupture occur in the mesenteric border of the tube, broad ligament hematoma will occur. That is because this is mesenteric border. So if rupture there occur, then blood clot within that area, and it is called the broad ligament hematoma. And if it is mesenteric border ruptures, antimesenteric border rupture, then it leads to the intraperitoneal hemorrhage. There is also lead to intraperitoneal hemorrhage, but it also comes with us with a broad ligament hematoma. Presentation. Early symptoms are either absent or subtle. Clinical presentation of ectopic pregnancy occur at a mean of 7.2 weeks after the last normal menstrual period with a range of 5 to 8 weeks. The common presenting symptoms that are suggestive for ectopic pregnancy are common presenting that we know that is the clinical triads 3As, that is amenorrhea, abdominal pain, and abnormal vaginal bleeding. These three feature comes with us the patients of symptoms. In the lower back, abdomen, or pelvis, usually unilateral, patient comes with pain. Pain in the lower back, abdomen, or pelvis is usually unilateral pain, and pain may be confused with a strong stomach pain. It may also feel like a strong cramping pain, and patient also complains of shoulder tip pain. This is caused by free blood tracking of the abdominal cavity and irritation occurring in the diaphragm, and is an ominous sign. It is referred pain. Pain while urination, then patient comes with dysuria and pain having a bowel movement. Bleeding. Vaginal bleeding usually mild, and ectopic pregnancy is usually failing pregnancy and falling level of progesterone from the corpus luteum on the ovary causes the withdrawal bleeding. And internal bleeding is due to hemorrhage from the affected tube. Patient also comes with the dizziness, headache, weakness, fainting. All may happen due to bleeding. Patient comes with us with the uh, even patient comes with without amenorrhea, and only patient have a history of the fainting attack, and also patient fainting attack, and there is a severe exacerbation of the lower abdominal pain even without amenorrhea. Sign. General examinations, a sign of early pregnancy is present maybe, and weakness, pallor, hypotension. If the patient is on the rupture ectopic pregnancy, patient comes with the shock, that is pallor, hypotension, tachycardia, tachypnea due to bleeding. All are due to features of the internal bleeding. And also on abdominal examination, lower abdomen tender, rigid, especially on one side, may be present. Rigidity, and it is most commonly in the chronic ectopic pregnancy, that is muscle gut rigidity is present, but in case of acute ectopic pregnancy it is not so associated with the muscular rigidity. In case of in vaginal examination, actually, in case of ectopic pregnancy, if there is no facility for the emergency laparoscopy, you don't do the per vaginal examination, because if it is not the rupture ectopic sac, we do the per vaginal examination. There is a risk of the rupture, and patient may go into shock. But because it is most of the patient who comes in hospital, there is a uh, facility available for the laparotomy. So we do the per vaginal examination. If we do the per vaginal examination, we findings these things, that is vaginal spotting, bluish vagina, and bluish soft cervix. Uterus is slightly enlarged and soft, and we found marked pain in one iliac fossa on moving the cervix from side to side. It is known as the cervical excitation test. It is positive in case of ectopic pregnancy. Ill-defined tender mass may be detected in one adnexa in which arterial pulsation may be felt. That is, already I told that a speculum or bimanual examination should not be performed unless facility for resuscitation are available. This may induce the rupture of the tube. Diagnosis. Diagnosis can be difficult. Performing some tests to help confirm suspected ectopic pregnancy, including the detailed history of the cycle, pregnancy, any history of pelvic inflammatory disease, any infertility, any gynecological surgery, and contraception. So previously I told what are the risk factors of the ectopic pregnancy. We take the details about these risk factors. After that, we do the proper general, abdominal, and vaginal and vital sign examinations. Investigation. We do the some investigation for the diagnosis, that is the hormonal assay, serum beta HCG. During pregnancy tests are positive only 50 to 60% of the ectopic pregnancy. So either 40 to 60% is negative in case of ectopic pregnancy. Detection of beta HCG in the serum amyloid ELISA scan code and more it is ready is more sensitive and can detect very early pregnancy about 10 days after fertilization. It is serum beta HCG. If the test is negative, generally less than 5 international units per liter or normal, and abnormal pregnancy including ectopic are excluded. That is, if test is negative, beta HCG level is less than 5, then it is excluded. That is, there is no normal pregnancy or abnormal pregnancy or ectopic, it is excluded. If the test is positive and double every 36 to 48 hours till reaching 1500 international unit per liter, which is the threshold of discrimination for intrauterine pregnancy. This indicates the normal intrauterine pregnancy. Previously, I discussed about the beta HCG level that in normal pregnancy 36 to 48 hours it is double. That is the reason why I discussed the beta HCG level in case of ectopic pregnancy. Because normal pregnancy, if there is a confusion about the diagnosis, then we do the beta HCG level 36 to 48 hours. After 36 to 48 hours, if it is double, then it is a normal pregnancy. It excludes the ectopic pregnancy. And an abnormal rise in blood beta HCG level may indicate an ectopic pregnancy, and ultrasonography is indicated. That is progesterone level. The second most common hormone after HCG is pregnancy is progesterone. Generally, a progesterone concentration of greater than 25 nanogram per ml is highly correlated with a normal intrauterine pregnancy, while a concentration of less than 5 nanogram per ml is highly correlated with an abnormal and non-viable pregnancy. It is very important. Ultrasound. In general, a positive beta HCG level and there is empty uterus by sonar adnexal mass indicate the ectopic pregnancy. So, if more than 2500 international unit of beta estrogen, there is a no gestational sac in the uterus, then it is a diagnosis, confirmed diagnosis, it is a ectopic pregnancy. And cultosynthesis in that test, that cultosynthesis in case of confusion of diagnosis, that is all the in that and if ultrasound is not available, but nowadays ultrasound is very available diagnosis, then in that case we do the cultosynthesis. In that test, a needle is inserted into the space at the top of the vagina, behind the uterus and in front of the rectum to aspirate the fluid. That is the pouch of Douglas. We said that the needle is inserted into the pouch of Douglas and aspirate the fluid and determine there is a blood in the space behind the uterus, and if non-clotting blood is aspirated from the pouch of Douglas, intraperitoneal hemorrhage is diagnosed. But if not, ectopic pregnancy cannot be excluded. Ectopic pregnancy is not excluded because if there is a not rupture, if the ectopic pregnancy is not ruptured, then there is a no intraperitoneal hemorrhage and there is a no collection of the blood in the pouch of Douglas. So in that case, cultosynthesis is false. Cultosynthesis is negative. See the process of cultosynthesis. That is, it is uterus and it is bladder and it is rectum. And see this is the collection. See, and with aspiration the needle. This is the cultosynthesis. The vaginal speculum, vagina that check for abdominal fluid in the abdominal cavity behind the uterus. It is very sensitive test. Clinically, we do the test for in case of confusing case for the diagnosis of ectopic pregnancy. Uncommon side of ectopic pregnancy. Coronal angular pregnancy, that is coronal angular pregnancy. Uh, uh, then pregnancy occur in the blind rudimentary horn of a bicoronate uterus, cervical pregnancy, ovarian pregnancy and abdominal pregnancy. That is cervical pregnancy. This is cervical pregnancy, ovarian pregnancy, abdominal pregnancy. These three, and another one is the bicoronate uterus is there is a bicoronate uterus, a coronal pregnancy and rudimentary horn of a bicoronate uterus. Cornual angular pregnancy. It is implantation interstitial portion of the tube. It is uncommon but dangerous because when rupture occurs, bleeding is severe and disruption is extensive that needs to hysterectomy. It is very dangerous conditions. In some cases, the pregnancy is expelled into the uterus and rupture does not occur. It is the advantage of this sometimes in case of coronal angular pregnancy. Pregnancy in a rudimentary horn. Pregnancy occurs in the blind rudimentary horn of a bicoronate uterus. As such, horn is capable of some hypertrophy and distension. Rupture usually does not occur before 16 to 20 weeks. Rudimentary horn. So see, that is the uterus one by rudimentary horn. There is a horn which rudimentary horn which is hypertrophied due to pregnancy, pathophysiology of the pregnancy. That's why it is hypertrophied and this is pregnancy. And normally tubal rupture occur 8 to 12 weeks. It is rupture occur, but in case of the rudimentary horn, it takes times 16 to 20 weeks. Cervical pregnancy. Implantation in the substance of the cervix below the level of the uterine vessels, it is called the cervical pregnancy. It causes severe vaginal bleeding and can be diagnosed by transvaginal ultrasonography. Ovarian pregnancy. Ovarian pregnancy etiology, that is due to pelvic adhesion and favorable ovarian surface for implantation, is a ovarian endometriosis. In case of pathological condition like endometriosis and PID, there is pelvic adhesion, in that case ovarian pregnancy can occur. Pathogenesis, fertilization of the ovum inside the ovary and implantation of the fertilized ovum in the ovary. Fertilization and implantations all occurs in the ovary. Spiegelberg criteria for the diagnosis of the ovarian pregnancy, that is the gestational sac is located in the region of the ovary, and ectopic pregnancy is attached to the uterus by the ovarian ligament, and ovarian tissue in the wall of the gestational sac is proved histologically, and the tube on the involved side is intact. These four are the Spiegelberg criteria for the diagnosis of the ovarian pregnancy. Abdominal pregnancy. Abdominal pregnancy, it is two types, that is primary and secondary. Primary, that is implantation occurs in the peritoneal cavity from the start. It is from the start implantation occurs in the peritoneal cavity. Secondary, usually after tubal rupture or abortion. This is the secondary abdominal pregnancy. It is very rare conditions, abdominal pregnancy. Interligamentous pregnancy, that is a type of abdominal but extraperitoneal pregnancy. It develops between the anterior and posterior lips of the broad ligament after rupture of tubal pregnancy in the mesosalpingeal border or lateral rupture of the intramural pregnancy. It is called the interligamentary pregnancy. Diagnosis. History of amenorrhea followed by an attack of a lower abdominal pain and slight vaginal bleeding which subsides spontaneously. On abdominal examination, use unusual transverse or oblique line. I told you the abdominal pregnancy. On abdominal pregnancy, unusual transverse lie or oblique line. Fetal parts are felt very superficially with no uterine muscle wall found all around. And on vaginal examination, uterus is soft about 8 weeks and separate from the fetus. No presenting part in the pelvis. All these things are confusing in case of abdominal examination. Most of the cases, diagnosis is very difficult. It is either intrauterine or abdominal pregnancy. On case of abdominal peritoneal pregnancy, special investigation, that is ultrasonography shows no the uterine wall around the fetus, but in plain X-ray shows the abdominal lie. In lateral view, fetus overshadow the maternal spine, but we are not do the actually plain X-ray of the abdomen for the diagnosis. If in case of confusing, then we do the plain X-ray. And MRI has a particular importance in preoperative detection of the placental anatomic relationship. It is all about the ectopic pregnancy. Now, in differential diagnosis of the ectopic pregnancy, there is non-gynecological and gynecological. Non-gynecological is appendicitis, patient acute pancreatitis, myocardial infarction, pelvic abscess, splenic rupture, and perforated gastric or duodenal ulcer. Gynecological disorder, septic abortion, threatened abortion, pyosalpinx, pelvic abscess, twisted ovarian tumor, acute pelvic inflammatory disease, rupture of follicle or corpus luteum cyst, degenerating leiomyoma, and retrograde gravity uterus. These all are the confusing window, or we told it is the differential diagnosis of the ectopic pregnancy. Gynecological, non-gynecological, and gynecological. These are the non-gynecological, and these are the gynecological. Now treatment. Treatment we are grouping into. Treatment actually depends on the patient condition, patient parity, and patient comes with the features. Which features us with patient comes with. That depends on the treatment. And we divided the treatment into the four groups, that is expected management, medical management, surgical management, and emergency management. Expected management, that is we expect it to spontaneous resolution, that is in case of ectopic pregnancy, if we go for the expected management, it resolves spontaneously with 3 to 5 weeks, two-third in case of two-third of the cases. And now, in which patient we do the expected management? That is criteria for selection of the expected management. If the patient is asymptomatic and no evidence of rupture, and patient is hemodynamically stable and beta HCG level is less than 1000 millinternational unit per ml and less than 50 ml of collection of blood in the pouch of Douglas. Adnexal mass is less than 2 centimeter, and this should be goes for the expected management. This is patient is stable, asymptomatic patient, patient beta HCG level is less than 1000 and less than 50 ml of fluid in pouch of Douglas. In that case, we go for the expected management. And we must be follow up with the beta HCG level and ultrasound. They must be fully compliant and must be willing to accept the potential risk of tubal rupture. Before going to exceptional expected management, we must extensively consult with the patient and patient attendance for the outcome of this in that case. There is, I previously told, that is two-third cases it is spontaneously resolved within 3 to 5 weeks, but rest of them may go to maybe rupture. Sorry. Monitoring. Initial follow-up twice weekly with the serum beta HCG level and weekly by transvaginal sonography. By the first week, drop in beta HCG level and adnexal mass size. Otherwise, this is the option. That is, otherwise we can go for the medical or surgical management. If the adnexal mass size is not reducing and beta HCG level is not dropping down, in that case, we go for the other option, that is medical or surgical option, if patient is not the tubal rupture. If the fall of beta HCG and reduction in the size of adenocarcinoma is satisfactory, in that case, we go for the weekly beta HCG level and transvaginal ultrasonography examinations. 45 to 70% of the pregnancy of unknown location resolve spontaneously with even expected management. Ectopic pregnancy was subsequently diagnosed 14 to 28% of the cases pregnancy of unknown location. And 20 to 30, 29% is intervention may be taken. Now, medical management. Criteria for medical management. In which patients we are go for the medical management. There is a criteria that is absolute and relative. Absolute, the patient is hemodynamically must be stable, no evidence of any acute intra-abdominal bleeding, patient is compliant to regular follow-up, no contraindication to methotrexate. These are the absolute. That is medical management. We give the medical management by some of the drugs, and one of these drugs is methotrexate. So before I go into methotrexate, it must be patient have no contraindication of methotrexate, and preferable are when the serum beta HCG level is less than 10,000 and absent or patient have absent or mild symptoms, absent embryonic heart activity, and gestational sac less than 4 centimeter in diameter. In that case, we are go for the medical management. Medical managements including there is a two methods that is systemic and or locally we can use. Some drugs that is methotrexate, prostaglandin, potassium chloride, and hyperosmolar glucose or local methotrexate. Most commonly used for the medical methods are methotrexates. Methotrexate is a drug that destroys the actively growing tissue such as placental tissue, is used as an injection in a selected cases to avoid the surgery. That is in non-ruptured ectopic pregnancy. And side effects including 3 to 10 days, 50% cases mild symptoms like nausea, mouth dryness, soreness, and diarrhea may occur. Formalities for the initiation of methotrexate therapy, it is you see the students, it is not so necessary now graduation level, but you must, if you, it is nice to do it. That is like we do the obtain beta HCG level, perform the transvaginal sonography, obtain the normal liver function test, renal function test, and complete blood count. In administer RH, that is anti-immunoglobulin in case of the RH negative mother. Identify the unruptured ectopic sac that is smaller than less than 4 centimeter and that is 3.5 cm or 4 cm, and obtain informed consent and schedule follow-up for the 4, 6, and 7. We follow up this patient. And we give the two regimen, that is multi-dose regimen and single-dose regimen. This dose is not required for you. Just see this. You can escape it because it is not needed for this two regimen. We can give the methotrexate in case of medical management. Now contraindication. Contraindication, that is immune deficiency state, breastfeeding women, renal disease, if alcoholism, hematologic abnormalities, and non-sensitivity to methotrexate, and active pulmonary disease and peptic ulcer disease. In that case, we will not give the methotrexate therapy. And we should give the advice to the patient, preferably written, the further treatment needed, and some adverse effect may causes. In that case, women should able to return easily for assessment at any time during the follow-up, and advice given to this outcome. That is, in case of medical management, 90% successful treatment with single dose regimen. Recurrent ectopic pregnancies 10 to 20% may occur. Tubal patency approximately 80%, and 14% of the medical management second dose of methotrexate. 75% would experience abdominal pain, separation pain between day 3 and 7. 10% would finally require surgical management. It is not needed. That is, after that, that is surgical management. Surgical management included, that is conservative surgery and definitive surgery. Surgical management can be done by the either laparoscopy or laparotomy, because nowadays laparoscopy is well established. So surgical management should be preferable by the laparoscopy. Laparotomy also done. Surgical indication for surgical treatment. The patient is not suitable candidate for medical therapy. That is, patient is symptomatically unstable. Medical therapy is failed. Patient has a heterotropic pregnancy with a viable intrauterine pregnancy, and the patient is hemodynamically unstable, needs the immediate treatment. We will go for laparoscopy or laparotomy. Laparoscopy has become the recommended approach in most cases. Laparotomy is usually reserved for those patients who are hemodynamically unstable, patient with coronal ectopic pregnancy, and for surgical inexperienced in laparoscopy, and in patient where laparoscopy approach is difficult. In those cases, we will go for the laparotomy. There is advantage of the laparoscopy: less intraoperative blood loss, shorter operation time, lower the analgesic requirement, future intrauterine pregnancy rate is same, and lower the repeat ectopic pregnancy. These are the laparotomy also the same. Future intrauterine pregnancy rate are same, and preferably in the hemodynamic unstable patient. Conservative surgery includes the conservative surgery goes for these infertility patients who have no child, and we preserve the tube. In that case, conservative surgery may be preferable. We employed when the ectopic has not ruptured and where the tube appears normal. There is one of the method is salpingotomy. The incision is made over the distended part of the tube and product of gestation removed and ensure the hemostasis. Then you kept the tube. That is, tube is preserved. And another is segmental resections and transfemoral extraction. That is milkening of the tube. These all are conservative surgery. Definitive surgery, that is salpingectomy. Unilateral salpingectomy done in case of rupture ectopic pregnancy. It is total salpingectomy in those patient story of these are the salpingectomy, is not salpingectomy. Emergency management. Emergency management of the rupture ectopic pregnancy are: patient is at first we resuscitate the patients by ABC approach, oxygen to whiteboard cannula and crystalloid solution or toilet solution is started and indwelling catheterization done, and patient is sent for the laparotomy and arrange that at least 4 units of bloods. If 1 unit is available, we are go for the emergency surgery. Other types: cervical, ovarian, heterotropic, and abdominal pregnancy. Other type treatment, that is cervical pregnancy evacuation of and cervical packing with hemostatic agent, aspirin, glue, and gauze, or arterial embolization. And if bleeding continue or extensive rupture occur, then hysterectomy is needed. Ovarian pregnancy. Ovarian pregnancy, in case of ovarian pregnancy, laparotomy and inoculation of the ectopic pregnancy and reconstruction of the ovary is possible. Otherwise, removal of the affected ovary is indicated. Ovarian cystectomy is the preferred treatment. Maybe we give the methotrexate and prostaglandin injection has also been reported in case of ovarian pregnancy. Then abdominal pregnancy. Condition should be terminated surgically through the laparotomy once diagnosed. When diagnosis, then we immediately do the laparotomy to remove the abdominal pregnancy. Methotrexate treatment appears to be contraindicated because of the high rate of complication due to rapid tissue necrosis. Heterotropic pregnancy depends upon the state of the woman and the skill of the doctors. Surgical treatment is the choice. That is, laparoscopy is the ideal surgical method to remove the ectopic pregnancy before it ruptures, without interrupting the viable pregnancy. Although the intrauterine pregnancy can still survive, if the ectopic pregnancy ruptures, there is increased danger of miscarriage. The surgery must be done with great skill, and it is important that bleeding be addressed quickly. Medical therapy includes injecting the ectopic pregnancy in order to terminate the gestation. This ventilator we can give complications of the ectopic pregnancy. Recurrence of the ectopic pregnancy, infertility, shock and death, and tubal rupture and organ damage. Psychological and surgical management treatment may be complication and medical treatment complications. Prognosis. Fertility following ectopic pregnancy depends upon several factors. The most important of which is prior to of infertility, the treatment of choice of history, whether surgical or non-surgical, also plays a role. For example, rate of intrauterine pregnancy may be higher following the methotrexate compared to the surgical treatment. Rate of fertility rate may be better following salpingostomy than the salpingectomy. So thank you. That's all about the ectopic pregnancy. Students, if you have any question, please give the comment in the comments box. Good day.